12. In the morning, Remy and Leanne were asleep as I quietly packed and slipped out the window the same way I'd come in, and left Mill City with my canvas bag. And I never spent that night on the old ghost ship. The Admiral Freebie, it was called, and Remy and I were lost to each other. In Oakland, I had a beer among the bums of a saloon with a wagon wheel in front of it, and I was on the road again. I walked clear across Oakland to get on the Fresno Road. 2 rides took me to Bakersfield, 400 miles south. The first was the mad one, with a burly blonde kid and a souped-up rod. "See that toe?" he said as he gunned the heap to 80 and passed everybody on the road. "Look at it. It was swathed in bandages. I just had it amputated this morning. The bastards wanted me to stay in the hospital. I packed my bag and left. What's a toe?" Yes, indeed, I said to myself, look out now, and I hung on. You never saw a driving fool like that. He made Tracy in no time. Tracy is a railroad town. Brakemen eat surly meals in diners by the tracks. Trains howl away across the valley. The sun goes down long and red. All the magic names of the valley unrolled. Manteca, Madeira, all the rest. Soon it got dusk, a grapey dusk, a purple dusk over tangerine groves and long melon fields. The sun the color of pressed grapes, slashed with burgundy red. The fields the color of love and Spanish mysteries. I stuck my head out the window and took deep breaths of the fragrant air. It was the most beautiful of all moments. The madman was a brakeman with the Southern Pacific, and he lived in Fresno. His father was also a brakeman. He lost his toe in the Oakland yards, switching, I didn't quite understand how. He drove me into buzzing Fresno and let me off by the south side of town. I went for a quick Coke and a little grocery by the tracks, and here came a melancholy Armenian youth along the red boxcars, and just at that moment a locomotive howled, and I said to myself, yes, Saroyan's town. I had to go south. I got on the road. A man in a brand new pickup truck picked me up. He was from Lubbock, Texas, and was in the trailer business. "You want to buy a trailer?" he asked me. "Anytime, look me up." He told stories about his father in Lubbock. "One night, my old man left the day's receipts sent on top of the safe. Plumb forgot. What happened? A thief came in the night, acetylene torch and all. Broke open the safe, riffled up the papers, kicked over a few chairs, and left. And that $1,000 was sitting right there on top of the safe. What do you know about that?" He let me off south of Bakersfield, and then my adventure began. It grew cold. I put on the flimsy army raincoat I'd bought in Oakland for $3 and shuddered in the road. I was standing in front of an ornate Spanish-style motel that was lit like a jewel. The cars rushed by, Louisiana, bound. I gestured frantically. It was too cold. I stood there till midnight, 2 hours straight, and cursed and cursed. It was just like Stewart. Iowa again. There was nothing to do but spend a little over $2 for a bus the remaining miles to Los Angeles. I walked back along the highway to Bakersfield and into the station, and sat down on a bench. I had bought my ticket and was waiting for the LA bus when all of a sudden I saw the cutest little Mexican girl in slacks come cutting across my sight. She was in one of the buses that had just pulled in with a big sigh of air brakes. It was discharging passengers for a rest stop. Her breasts stuck out straight and true. Her little flanks looked delicious. Her hair was long and lustrous black, and her eyes were great big blue things with timidities inside. I wished I was on her bus. A pain stabbed my heart, as it did every time I saw a girl I loved who was going the opposite direction in this too big world. The announcer called the LA bus. I picked up my bag and got on, and who should be sitting there alone but the Mexican girl. I dropped right opposite her and began scheming right off. I was so lonely, so sad, so tired, so quivering, so broken, so beat, that I got up my courage, the courage necessary to approach a strange girl, and acted. Even then, I spent 5 minutes beating my thighs in the dark as the bus rolled down the road. You gotta, or you'll die! Damn fool, talk to her! What's wrong with you? Aren't you tired enough of yourself by now? And before I knew what I was doing, I leaned across the aisle to her. She was trying to sleep on the seat, and said, Miss, would you like to use my raincoat for a pillow? She looked up with a smile and said, No, thank you very much. I sat back trembling. I lit a butt. I waited till she looked at me with a sad little side look of love, and I got right up and leaned over her. May I sit with you, miss? If you wish. And this I did. We're going. LA. I love the way she said LA. I love the way everybody says, lay on the coast. It's their one and only golden town when all is said and done. That's where I'm going too, I cried. I'm very glad you let me sit with you. I was very lonely, and I've been traveling a hell of a lot. And we settled down to telling our stories. Her story was this. She had a husband and child. The husband beat her, so she left him, back at Sabinal, south of Fresno, and was going to LA to live with her sister a while. She left her little son with her family, who were grape pickers and lived in a shack in the vineyards. She had nothing to do but brood and get mad. I felt like putting my arms around her right away. We talked and talked. She said she loved to talk with me. Pretty soon she was saying she wished she could go to New York too. Maybe we could? I laughed. The bus groaned up Grapevine Pass, and then we were coming down into the great sprawls of light. Without coming to any particular agreement, we began holding hands, and in the same way, it was mutely and beautifully and purely decided that when I got my hotel room in LA, she would be beside me. I ached all over for her. I leaned my head in her beautiful hair. Her little shoulders drove me mad. I hugged her, and she loved it. I love love, she said, closing her eyes. I promised her beautiful love. I gloated over her. Our stories were told. We subsided into silence and sweet anticipatory thoughts. It was as simple as that. You could have all your Peaches and Bettys and Marilis and Ritas and Camilles and Inezes in this world. This was my girl and my kind of girl soul, and I told her that. She confessed she saw me watching her in the bus station. I thought you was a nice college boy. Oh, I'm a college boy, I assured her. The bus arrived in Hollywood. In the gray, dirty dawn, like the dawn when Joel McCrae met Veronica Lake in a diner. In the picture Sullivan's Travels, she slept in my lap. I looked greedily out ton window. Stucco houses and palms and drive-ins. The whole mad thing. The ragged promised land. The fantastic end of America. We got off the bus at Main Street, which was no different from where you get off a bus in Kansas City or Chicago or Boston. Red brick, dirty, characters drifting by, trolleys grating in the hopeless dawn. The hoary smell of a big city. And here my mind went haywire. I don't know why. I began getting the foolish paranoid visions that Teresa, or Terry, her name, was a common little hustler who worked the buses for a guy's bucks by making appointments like ours in LA, where she brought the sucker first to a breakfast place where her pimp waited, and then to a certain hotel to which he had access with his gun or his whatever. I never confessed this to her. We ate breakfast and a pimp kept watching us. I fancied Terry was making secret eyes at him. I was tired and felt strange and lost in a faraway, disgusting place. The goof of terror took over my thoughts and made me act petty and cheap. "Do you know that guy?" I said. "What guy you mean, honey?" I let it drop. She was slow and hung up about everything she did. It took her a long time to eat. She chewed slowly and stared into space and smoked a cigarette and kept talking. And I was like a haggard ghost, suspicioning every move she made, thinking she was stalling for time. This was all a fit of sickness. I was sweating as we went down the street hand in hand. The first hotel we hit had a room, and before I knew it, I was locking the door behind me, and she was sitting on the bed taking off her shoes. I kissed her meekly. Better she'd never know. To relax our nerves, I knew we needed whiskey, especially me. I ran out and fiddled all over 12 blocks, hurrying till I found a pint of whiskey for sale at a newsstand. I ran back all energy. Terry was in the bathroom fixing her face. I poured one big drink in a water glass and we had slugs. Oh, it was sweet and delicious and worth my whole lugubrious voyage. I stood behind her at the mirror and we danced in the bathroom that way. I began talking about my friends back east. I said, "You ought to meet a great girl I know called Doric. She's a 6-foot redhead. If you came to New York, she'd show you where to get work." "Who is this 6-foot redhead?" she demanded suspiciously. "Why do you tell me about her?" In her simple soul, she couldn't fathom my kind of glad, nervous talk. I let it drop. She began to get drunk in the bathroom. "Come on to bed," I kept saying. 6-foot redhead, hey? And I thought you was a nice college boy. I saw you in your lovely sweater, and I said to myself, ain't he nice? No, and no, and no. You have to be a goddamn pimp like all of them. What on earth are you talking about? Don't stand there and tell me that 6-foot redhead ain't a madam, 'cause I know a madam when I hear about one. And you're just a pimp like all the rest I meet. Everybody's a pimp. Listen, Terry, I am not a pimp. I swear to you on the Bible, I am not a pimp. Why should I be a pimp? My only interest is you. All the time I thought I met a nice boy. I was so glad I hugged myself and said, a real nice boy instead of a pimp. Terry, I pleaded with all my soul, please listen to me and understand. I'm not a pimp. An hour ago, I thought she was a hustler. How sad it was. Our minds, with their store of madness, had diverged. Oh, gruesome life, how I moaned and pleaded, and then I got mad and realized I was pleading with a dumb little Mexican wench, and I told her so. And before I knew it, I picked up her red pumps and hurled them at the bathroom door and told her to get out. Go on, beat it. I'd sleep and forget it. I had my own life, my own sad and ragged life forever. There was a dead silence in the bathroom. I took my clothes off and went to bed. Terry came out with tears of sorriness in her eyes. In her simple and funny little mind had been decided the fact that a pimp does not throw a woman's shoes against the door and does not tell her to get out. In reverent and sweet little silence, she took all her clothes off and slipped her tiny body into the sheets with me. It was brown as grapes. I saw her poor belly where there was a cesarean scar. Her hips were so narrow, she couldn't bear a child without getting gashed open. Her legs were like little sticks. She was only 4'10". I made love to her in the sweetness of the weary morning. Then two tired angels of some kind, hung up forlornly in an LA shelf, having found the closest and most delicious thing in life together, we fell asleep and slept till late afternoon.